Origins of Sabretooth. Victor Creed is the feral mutant called Sabretooth. He was a member subject of the Weapon X project and is the arch-enemy of Wolverine. Unlike Wolverine, Sabretooth embraces his primal instincts, leaving death in his wake. Due to a spell gone wrong by Scarlet Witch, Sabretooth got inverted and became a more heroic person for a while. Sabretooth's memories have been tampered with by clandestine organizations such as Weapon X, and so much of what appears to be his past is not of credible account. His strongest and earliest memories involve being cruelly abused on numerous occasions by his father while being tied up in his parents' basement. Another memory of Victor's childhood was when his mutation first manifested. He killed his pediatrician at age 9. Uncanny X-Men First Series 326. Another memory involves Wolverine, whom at the time lived in a small community of Blackfoot Indians and settlers. One day, Sabretooth tracked him down in Canada, and he raped and seemingly murdered his lover, Silver Fox, on Logan's birthday. This resulted in the first of many battles between the two, with Sabretooth savagely beating Logan. Creed eventually adopted a tradition of tracking Logan down on his birthday with the intention of fighting him. Eventually emerging as a costumed villain, Sabretooth became partners with the Constrictor and the two acted as enforcers for major criminal interests. During this time, Creed began to stalk and kill human beings for pleasure. This earned him the newspaper title of the Slasher. The Constrictor and Sabretooth eventually dissolved their partnership, and Sabretooth nearly killed the Constrictor at one time. Though it was as of yet revealed how, Sabretooth is indeed back from the dead and is trying to start a war between rival gangs in Japan. He is hired to kill Mr. Takanaka, leader of the Yakuza, and tosses him from a jet. Creed is later approached by other Yakuza members to accept an offer at an airport in LA. Sabretooth says he'll miss an important meeting by going, and kills the Yakuza. He settles up his tab at the brothel and finishes his meal. Creed sets a trap for Logan before heading to his meeting, but he breaks free and catches up to him. The two battle, while Creed is flying a jetpack, and crash to the ground. They land among the Yakuza, the Hand, the new Silver Samurai and Wolverine's adopted daughter. Logan goes to save his daughter and tears through Sabretooth to do so. Creed recovers and grabs the Silver Samurai. It is later revealed he is working with Mystique and the Mind Ninjas. Sabretooth stands beside Mystique as she repeatedly shoots Wolverine in the face. They kiss before Sabretooth heads on to the next part of his plan. He escapes with the man who hired him, Azuma Goda, to cause a war between the Hand and the Yakuza. As Goda reveals his master plan of becoming an invisible ruler of Japan, Sabretooth seems to have his own plans. He allows Wolverine to slip past Goda's security and leaves Logan to kill him. Creed then saves Mystique from Lord Deathstrike and makes him an offer. The three of them arrive at a meeting of the remaining heads of East Asia, who are deciding the fate of Tokyo, and kill them all as Sabretooth, along with Mystique and Lord Deathstrike, declares himself the new invisible ruler of East Asia. After the events of Secret Wars, a still inverted Sabretooth became a member of Magneto's X-Men. During the Civil War II arc, Sabretooth confesses to Psylocke that he doesn't really agree with Magneto's methods. He just sticks around because only Magneto would have him. During his time with the team, he develops love-hate relationship with Monet, whom he'd become very protective of. While the two are on a mission, they end up confronted by her brother, M-Plate. Toward the battle's end, M-Plate manages to fuse with Monet, cursing her with his mutant vampirism. He warns her that if she wants his cooperation to keep her affliction secret, she has to feed him. Sabretooth, having been present when it happened, promises Monet that he would keep her secret and she could feed on him whenever she needed. The feedings greatly weaken Creed, as Monet absorbs his healing factor, claws, and speed. As time wears on, Creed could also feel his inversion starting to fade. Some of his more feral instincts come back to the surface, which scares him. He thinks he has to become something different. Something other than the lie of his inverted self, but also something other than the monster he was. After the team disbands, Sabretooth went off with Monet to continue trying to help her. Victor continues his fight with Stryker, but has to leave when a power-boosted Mentallo overcomes his team. Victor confronts Mentallo, opting to lose his mind and free his inner beast to avoid the psychic attacks. Being briefly overcome by Sabretooth, Mentallo shoots him with Domino's discarded gun, which sends him into the sacrificial pit as Stryker's last offering. In retaliation, Deathstrike deals the fatal blow to Mentallo while Monet mourns Victor's death. Re-entering Hell, Victor successfully decapitates Stryker, noting that if he does sacrifice himself, it'll be for his son. Graydon is then called back to the living world instead as Sabretooth watches on, glad that he kept his promise to save his son. Weapon X-Force witnesses Graydon's revival and Mystique notes that Sabretooth is responsible, but Monet questions what happened to Sabretooth. Back in Hell, Marduk comes to Sabretooth, who is in a feral state and can only growl. Initially, he thinks Mentallo broke Victor, but then ponders if he actually fixed him and returned him to his former self. Not wanting to claim Victor when he's too mentally deficient to torture, Madruk opens a portal to release him back into the world. Victor runs into the Saskatchewan woods while Marduk tells him to embrace his true self again and earn his way back to Hell. After an unknown amount of time, mutants took up residence on Krakow, where they developed their own nation with their own rules and language separated from humanity. Victor was back with Brotherhood, which consisted of Mystique and Toad, but he appeared to be on occasionally amicable terms with the X-Men. During a mission to steal data from Damage Control, Creed injures many of the guards, killing at least 2. When the Fantastic Four confront them, Mystique and Toad escaped through a Krakow portal, but Creed is captured and later put on trial. He remorselessly stands before a judge and pleads guilty, but no judgment comes to him as Emma Frost comes to claim him on grounds of diplomatic immunity. The humans are not happy, but release Creed over to her and her cuckoos when she reminds them that she could kill them all with one thought. Though he was taken back to Krakow, Creed was not out of the woods. He's put on trial for his crime and found guilty of violating the new Krakowan law that prohibits murder of humans. Creed is defiant to the end about being judged for his actions and receives the ultimate suffering in punishment. Krakow opens beneath him, encasing him in vines where he's dragged below the surface, restrained and kept in a state of conscious stasis where he will remain the rest of his life. The Pit. While suspended by Krakowan vibes in a comatose state in the pit, Creed found himself in a dream world rather than the void he was promised. Krakow believed he was judged too harshly and his punishment did not fit the crime. Krakow was unable to free him, but, through Cypher, he negotiated mental freedom where Creed would be able to exist in a fantasy world of his own devising until the Quiet Council reverses their life sentence. Creed agreed, but during high emotional states, he seemed to be able to materialize on the surface of Krakow. He was also promised that he was going to be the only mutant punished by the Quiet Council, but he was soon visited by 5 other mutants with life sentences in the pit. They would join Creed in his fantasy world, and he would manipulate them into reaching the surface world together. This psychic interruption caused physical trauma to the island, so Cypher made a deal to release Sabretooth. He stole a boat and fled from the mutant nation, where he was abducted by Orcus for their own devious reasons. Powers and abilities. Sabretooth is a mutant with many natural powers that have been enhanced by Weapon X and other groups. He has very similar powers to that of Wolverine. Like Wolverine, Sabretooth's primary ability is an accelerated healing factor, which can heal destroyed flesh and organs and broken bones in a matter of minutes. His healing also radically slows his aging process. Sabretooth's age is unknown, but Wild Child presented information to Wolverine, on behalf of Romulus, that they had both fought in the Colosseums in the time of the Roman gladiators. His healing factor also makes Sabretooth immune to all toxins and drugs, gives him superhuman stamina, and lets him push his body well beyond human limits. Creed also possesses enhanced senses of hearing, sight, taste, smell. He can see objects much clearer and at much greater distance than normal humans, and can see in complete darkness like cats can. His sense of smell is enhanced enough that he is able to track people by their scent, even if it has been decayed by time or masked by other factors. Sabretooth's hearing is sensitive enough that he can hear almost anything from up to 3 miles away, depending on the level of noise in the area. Sabretooth's physical strength far surpasses that of a normal human, as his healing factor instantly repairs muscle tears and negates the buildup of lactic acid which causes muscle fatigue. The upper limits of his strength have never been confirmed, and it is unclear how many times his strength has been increased by Weapon X and other groups. Sabretooth has 3-inch claws in place of his finger and toenails, which are extendable in a manner similar to Lady Deathstrike's. He also possesses animal-like fangs which, like his claws, are made of a substance stronger than human bone, though whether this is simply an effect of his bones' extreme durability is unclear. With his bones laced in adamantium, Sabretooth's healing factor is markedly decreased in its effectiveness, though his skeleton, fangs, and claws are essentially unbreakable. Sabretooth's natural ferocity and lust for violence have been augmented over the years by training at the hands of the CIA, Weapon X, The Hand, and other organizations. Despite his brutish appearance, Creed is quite intelligent on a tactical and strategic level. He was rendered immune to telepathic manipulation after an incident when Wolverine punctured his frontal